Hello, it's Wednesday again. Gosh, I can't believe this is the 11th week that I have been doing these interviews. So it's a very damp and dreary day here in Marlborough, and I've had to put the light on. So I'm really conscious that there might be a little bit of distraction on my glasses. So I do apologise for that. But welcome to everybody who's watching us live on Facebook. And for the first time, we're streaming into LinkedIn and we're also streaming into YouTube. This has been such a popular feature. And people have been asking me whether they can come on and they can talk about themselves, talk about their businesses, and this seems to be the right time to be stepping it up a little bit. So for those of you that are new to joining in, let me tell you what this is all about. This came about, I think it was the week before the lockdown, as it looked like we were going to go into lockdown. Obviously, we had the email round to say that our local Ladies Who Latte group, the group which, of course, I facilitated for the last 3 years until I handed it over in January, we weren't going to be able to meet at our lovely Savernake Careview care home. And obviously, the thought of having no networking and no business support for some people, I knew from the 3 years that I had worked with the ladies in the group that actually that would be really, really tough. So I straight away went on the sort of, attack. What could we do? What could we do to keep ourselves visible? What could we do to keep our businesses alive? And so I decided to go for a week of interviews, interviewing the local Ladies Who Latte, giving them the opportunity for us to find out a bit more about them, and also I just noticed I've got a little note there about LinkedIn. I'm just going to turn that off on there, and find out a little bit more about the ladies behind the latte and about their businesses as well. And that's how it was born. So I did a week of interviews and then have been going live every Wednesday since. So here we are now, my 11th interview, and actually the lady that I've got for you today, we didn't know this was going to happen, but actually her industry is big in the news today, absolutely big. And so it is my great pleasure to welcome Ruth Kolish. Now, Ruth is a travel counsellor. I'll just bring Ruth on, click you on, Ruth. There you are.
Good morning.
Lovely to have you here, Ruth. Welcome. Ruth attends our Swindon Ladies at Latte, and she's also a member in Hungerford. And what I love is that she's part of an organisation that has the best customer service department, and you yourself are customer service ambassadors, I believe. I mean, we have the lovely Alison Ward in our group in Marlborough, so big shout out to Alison. But I know that all of you, and I've also known Jane Zollo, who was also a travel counsellor, the level to which you go to for your clients is up here, isn't it? Absolutely up here. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about that, because that, I think, is one of the things that makes you different. And I think it's one of the things that, for me as a client, is something that we really value. So, Ruth, I'm delighted to welcome you here. And yes, whereabouts are you? Are you over in, you're Swindon way? No, you're Marlborough as well, aren't you?
I am Marlborough as well. Good morning, Lara, and thank you very much for inviting me this morning. I am based in a little village just outside Marlborough called Minor or Mildenhall, and part of the Travel Counsellors Network. So yes, there's 1,700 of us worldwide, about 1,200 of us in the UK, with the main office up in Manchester.
And you've all got independent businesses, is that correct? But under the Travel Counsellor banner, is that right?
That's right. You can set up your business more or less how you like, self-employed or a limited company, but we are basically franchisees of the main banner of Travel Counsellors.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, Ruth, I look forward to hearing a bit more about that in a minute. But on this, we like to get to know you. We like to get to know the lady behind the latte. So, Ruth, I don't know much about you. Have you always been in travel? What started you off?
I have from I started off as a little humble secretary when I left college many moons ago, and found my way going to the smoke, working in the middle of the city in London, in the legal field, but very quickly got introduced to the travel industry and was encouraged to apply for a job at Tourism British Columbia. So British Columbia, the westernmost province of Canada. And I worked my way up and ended up heading up the tourist office in Regent Street for British Columbia.
Right. And that's why I remember you for Canada. I think I must have met you at a latte meeting, and that's what sticks in my mind about you being a Canada expert. I can see I'm just going to move over to the comments box, Ruth, because I can see we've got lots of people joining us. Hello to Alex. Hello to Debbie. Oh, Alison's here as well. Oh, that's wonderful, because actually this is lovely that you asked to come on, Ruth, but actually I think this is great for your industry, and this is great for you as travel counsellors, and I know that you all collaborate together, especially at your big conferences. So it's lovely to have Alison with us today as well. Brilliant. Ladies that are watching us live, I am going to give you a little Q&A session at the end. So if you've got some questions that you want to ask Ruth, it could be about your holiday that you've got booked or about the general situation. And obviously, Ruth, I'm really conscious that before we went live, you know, I've been listening to Jeremy Vine, and obviously they will have British Airways on and what's going on there today. So it would be really wrong of us not to talk about that. So we'll come on to that later as well. But let's just get back to you. So this is where it starts then, with you and this love of Canada and this expert knowledge about Canada. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. I was working for British Columbia at the time that they were doing a destination bid for the Olympics. It was a really, really exciting time to be involved, and a huge learning curve for me then. It was a huge relief that we were actually given the destination for Vancouver 2010 Olympics. And I was part of that journey right from the beginning of the IOC actually listening to destination bids. So it was hugely exciting. And after that, I was actually headhunted by a Canadian company called a Receptive, or a ground handler. So I was then director of sales for the UK and Europe for a company that was selling the whole of Canada and its Canadian ground product to the UK tour operators to feature in their brochures. Right. That career sadly came to an abrupt close as a direct result of 9/11. Right. So I know we are at a very interesting time in the travel industry now, but I have been through and out the other side of a previous slowdown and complete stop to the industry before. And there are many similarities, but there are many differences this time too. So I think my experience has really, really come to the forefront, because you do know we're going to come out of it. The industry will look different on the other side. It may be a big spring clean that was needing to happen. It does mean that travel companies are going back to the boardrooms and looking at the construction of their companies. And yes, I think it will look different on the other side, and it will be a slow upturn.
I can hear there's quite a lot of feedback there, Ruth. I don't know how we can deal with that. Are you hearing some feedback? Apologies if you're hearing feedback, ladies. I had heard that back in my ear then. Hopefully that will die down. I was going to go on and say, Ruth, this is actually really good to hear this, because there must be people who aren't as experienced as you in the travel business who will be absolutely worried sick about this situation. And actually to be chatting to somebody who's been through, okay, it's not the same, but something else that was dire, and know that you've come through that, it must be, you know, if I think about your organization, presumably you are not the only one who had been through that experience of 9/11 and coming out the other side, because I know majority of you are exceedingly experienced. So I think that's really worth holding on to. And for all the ladies at Latte and everybody else that's listening, for whatever business that you're in, we will come through this. We might come through it in a different way. And, you know, I keep hearing this word pivot come up. People are pivoting and changing the way that they do business. And this is why we've had the Saturday Marlborough Ladies Who Latte Plan B call, which of course you came on, and this is how this came from that. But this is exactly it. We might just have to do things differently. We might have to put some different strategies in as we weather the storm and come out the other side. So Ruth, when did you join Travel Counsellors? I mean, were you a travel agent before then? Because obviously you've got all that experience doing the ground handling for Canada. But how did you then progress to becoming a travel agent?
Well, thank you for the question. That's an interesting period in my career. I had children. I stepped back from a career for a moment to look after little ones. I then retrained using the skills I had taken from the travel industry, and studied for a course called the Certificate in School Business Management. And that enabled me to work in the education sector whilst my children were young, whilst using the skills I had already gained in the travel industry. As the children got older and my time management was a little bit looser, I had the opportunity to go back into the travel industry, which is really my core métier and my core love. And I really did miss it when I wasn't doing it. And so I looked at various franchises that I could do from home so I could still be with the children, but also build up my own business using my old skills and my old product. And I looked at several franchises. There are other ones out there doing very similar. I come from a family of bankers, and I basically whittled it down to a core few and went to my family dragon's den and said, listen, this is what I'm thinking of doing. Talk me out of it. Yes. I gave them travel counsellors because I did a lot of due diligence on the company, and I really like their core values of starting with customer service. So it is not starting with the product, it is starting with the client.
Yes.
And so we spend a lot of time getting to know you and understand your core reason for traveling. So I have actually talked to people out of destinations because I haven't really believed that they were investing their traveling money and going to the right place.
Ruth, I'm pleased to hear you say this. In fact, this is something I'm going to share with you now that you might not know about me, and certainly a lot of other people won't know out there. But before Louisa was born, so Louisa will be 20 next month, during my first teaching job, my nana passed away, and we were I just got married, and we were at a point where my husband had been made redundant, and couldn't believe that had happened, and anyway, to cut a long story short, I took matters into my own hands and I bought a global travel franchise, which was probably one of the ones that you looked at when you were looking at franchises. And I bought that because I felt that well, it was to do with us potentially losing our home, with my husband being made redundant, and what could I do? I felt that I had to, do something, and I invested this £5,000 that my nana had left me. I am not worldly wide travelled at all. And I was living in Lechlade at the time, and I looked at what isn't there in Lechlade, and there wasn't a travel agent. And I built my model exactly what you're talking about. I built it around good old-fashioned personal service. And I'm delighted to hear you say that you have talked clients out of going somewhere because you listened and you knew that it wasn't right for them, but you offered them an alternative and you talked it through with them. That is what I did. And actually within a 5-year period, I then sold my database for £20,000 actually back then, which was a lot of money. And of course that was before the onset of internet. So yes, little tipple for you there, ladies. You might not know that about me, that I have actually been in the travel industry, and that is one of the the experience of the franchise that I've done. And yeah, so the ladies, if you might have done something else or dabbled with travel, if you have, pop it there on the comments. And I can see we've got somebody joining us from Las Vegas, a gentleman called David. So welcome, David. Thank you for joining us from Las Vegas. That's great. We're talking about destinations today. So Ruth, this business of you building around clients, really listening. I mean, I think that's golden. And anyone who's successful in business, I can't believe they're not going to say that their client comes first. And I know that you hold that dear to your heart, don't you? Tell us a bit more about the customer service that you have as a travel counsellor.
Well, as I say, we do start with the client and we really get to know them. And the strapline for travel counsellors, as cheesy it might sound to others, it really truly is true. And it is with us, it's personal. And it really is personal, because we want to make sure that you are investing your travel money going to the right destination, experiencing what you want to experience out of that destination in a safe way, with your money fully financially secure, because that builds the database that you were talking about before. Is I get no pleasure from a transaction. For someone to ring up and say, right, I want to go on this and that's it, can you just book it? It just sends shivers down my spine, because I'm not convinced that they are actually sold to that.
Yes.
Are they going to get the best experience out of it? And why? What is their motivation for travel? So if I do get a call like that, I do spend time on the phone with them, and if I can, I'd really like to meet them. And
so tell us a bit more about that then, because obviously you brought into travel counsellors, the children were still quite small, so you don't have high street premises, you work from home, you take the majority of calls over the telephone, but do you go then to people's homes? Because that's what I did. I built up this good old-fashioned personal service of going to their homes, and I think the more discerning clients, well, I'm going to say actually any client, because your holiday money is so precious, you've saved up for it, haven't you? And this is why you want people to spend it wisely. But is that a core of your business? Do you get to see everybody?
I don't get to see everybody, but I do try and get to see most. And if not, I'll be doing this. I'll be doing it on a Zoom call or over Skype, so that you can eyeball them. That sounds very crude, but I think you get to know a lot of people that way. And it doesn't make it a transaction. You start to build a relationship.
Yes.
And it costs a lot of money to get new clients. So we really, really believe in nurturing our clients, looking after our clients, getting to understand them, because we don't just take one holiday a year anymore. We perhaps take 2 or 3. We also do UK travel. So it may be that quick, cheeky weekend away that I can help them with.
Yeah.
There's a variance of things, but yes, we really, really want to keep it personal, to build up that relationship on many different levels. And then in turn, that helps me grow my business, because they will then refer and recommend me to their friends and family and contacts. And that's how my business has grown.
Yeah, absolutely. I've never advertised. I've built all of my businesses, I've built up through word of mouth recommendation. And for me, well, people who know me will know, I stand up and talk regularly about, you are your best business card. That's the whole point about the personal branding that I do. I'm not personal branding in terms of strategy. I'm personal branding in terms of you yourself, your business card, and how you can portray yourself. And I think it is vital. And this customer care that we give is fantastic. So Ruth, let's see if I can do a question. What's been your most challenging? What's been your most challenging itinerary that you've put together, or the most fun? Have you had some really challenging ones?
I have. I mean, every booking has its own challenge, and I'm a real stickler for attention to detail. So it may be very well a client coming and saying, oh, I've done some research, I think I want to go A, B, C. I won't just leave it like that. I will explore every destination that they're going to, see what experiences they can get in those locations, see if there's any ancillary trips they can do, and then move them on to the next destination that they want to go to. I did a lovely itinerary in Sri Lanka, and whilst it's not my strongest destination, it was a learning curve for me. But that's the beauty of the Travel Counsellors Network, is whilst my core competency may be Canada, and I get a lot of my colleagues coming to me for suggestions around itineraries there, I was able to go to one of my colleagues who is experienced in Sri Lanka, and they explained, listen, do this here, suggest this here, tell me about your clients so I understand what motivates them. And we put together this beautiful itinerary up into the tea plantations all the way down to the coast, and it was just beautiful. But yes, it was a challenge for me because it was a new destination for me. But you know, aren't I lucky to be going on that journey with them?
Absolutely. Learning from that, and the fact that you could pull upon those other travel counsellors to help you and support you, I think that's absolutely brilliant. I must just come in there and apologise. Some of you will have seen that we had somebody being particularly rude, that obviously has come in through YouTube, and that's something that I need to learn about, and maybe we won't go live into YouTube next time. We will do the video and I'll post it afterwards. So sorry I was distracted, Ruth, but I was just trying to delete the comment. Unfortunately it flashed up because I hit the wrong thing, but anyway, that user has now been blocked, so apologies for that for everybody watching live and on the replay. Unfortunately, I think that's going to happen, the very nature of going live, isn't it? But
you know what, it is, that's live and we love it.
Yes, but anyway, let's get back to you and your itinerary, because that sounds absolutely wonderful, and I bet those clients had the most amazing trip. Now let's move on, because I'm conscious of the time, and I think that it would be I think we can't not address what's going on at the moment. Across the world, aeroplanes are just sat there at airports, on the runways. I've never seen anything like it. We might have seen something like it during 9/11, but not for the length of this time, and not all around the world. Ruth, we can't not talk about the fact that your business has been hit particularly harshly. I know that everybody's business has been hit harshly, but you know, I mean, what's it been like? Did you have trouble getting clients back from destinations, repatriating people? You know, how's this been for you and travel counsellors?
Again, extraordinary, a bit like 9/11, where planes were grounded immediately at their nearest airport. But the difference with 9/11 is it was for comparatively such a short period of time. So whilst the world stopped turning, especially for North America, for a week or so, it took just a few days to get equipment into the right place again, and then the industry started turning again. The extraordinary thing about this situation is it is global. The second thing is we just don't know when it's going to end, but we do know it is going to end. And it is just being addressing everything we can, supporting everyone we can. We have been dealing with this way before it was hitting the news, really, because we were starting to get notifications from the FCO, the Foreign Commonwealth Office, in January, that destinations were starting to put restrictions on travel. And so we did have an early kind of undercurrent of something might be coming down the line. And so we did start protecting our clients and protecting their travel, and letting them understand that if they were traveling, under what circumstances they were doing it. So I did have clients in America, which I managed to get back early. And that was really quite exciting, because as I had to bring them back through 2 stopovers, and each stopover they were doing, the airport was closing behind them.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was pretty tight, but they're home safe and sound.
Oh, good.
I have got a client whose son is doing a gap year and is still in New Zealand.
Right.
And he's not actually my client, but they rang me for advice, and he is in a repatriation situation. So he is there safe and sound in New Zealand and waiting for the government repatriation. So we'll just have to see what happens there. But he's safe and sound, and that's the main thing.
And I suppose you being under this travel counsellor's umbrella, because you're such a big organisation, this information is coming through to you. And, you know, you've got, I'm right in saying you've got people 24 hours a day who are on top of this. That's right, isn't it? Am I right in saying that?
Yes. Up in Manchester, we have an office of over 500 staff, and that includes a duty office. And that is a full-time, 24 hours a day, And they are looking at political events, they're looking at world events, they're looking at weather systems, everything like that. Anything that might impact travel, they are on top of it. The beauty is they can then contact us very early in any situation so that we can look after our clients and get them back. That is quite unusual that we've got a 24-hour service. And that's the beauty of us working from home as well, because we're not putting a key in the door to a high street agency and then walking to our desk and seeing what's happening for the day. We are on it 24/7. And if I'm not answering my phone, my duty office is. So I know that my clients are completely and utterly looked after.
Yes, and I have personal experience with this twice, actually. Louisa, my eldest, went on a gap year, and Alison did her flights for her and her friends. And Richard and I were actually on holiday in Austria. There was an earthquake in Bali. Alison was on that phone to me.
Absolutely.
And I didn't know that had happened. And another experience we had was when we were doing, Richard was working in the States, and we'd booked a hotel. I was going out to visit an uncle in Vancouver Island. And when we got to the hotel, they didn't have our booking, even though I knew that Alison had done the booking. And I rang her, and it wasn't office hours. I'm sure it was in the evening that she got the call, and it must have even been near a bedtime, because I thought, oh gosh, she's not going to, what's going to happen? But she was on it, 10 o'clock at night. She was on it, and it was all sorted. They put us in another room, and it was all sorted. And that would not have happened if I had gone to a 9-to-5 travel agent. And ladies who are watching this live and on the replay, I really am going to urge you to look to Ruth, to look to these travel counsellors, because the service that they offer is just second to none, and you don't pay any more. If anything, you're going to pay less because you get us the best deals. Do you want to just reiterate that? And also, the other thing that I'd love you to reiterate, just in the short amount of time we've got left, is also about the money when people pay you for your holiday and it's sat in a secured account, and about the refunds. Would you be able to just touch on that, Ruth? Because I think they're really important points at the moment.
Yes, they are. It will probably take longer than the 5 minutes we've got. But yes, when you're booking through travel counsellors, we operate a trust. So any money coming into travel counsellors invariably sits in a trust that we have various suppliers, including the airlines and the ground product, and they all have different payment terms. So some we have to pay before travel, and that would be the airlines, because as you're seeing playing out today in this situation, the airlines actually operate on money that you are paying now and you haven't traveled. With ground product, we negotiate rates, preferred rates, because we have the purchasing power of a big company, and your money sits in a trust account in Manchester, in an escrow account, and those suppliers are paid afterwards, after travel. So that means that we have the cash flow to either refund you the money if anything goes wrong with your holiday, as you're seeing with the atoll protection, and also if any geographical events like tsunamis or ash clouds or things like that, we can use that cash flow to get you out of trouble very quickly. So instead of getting the phone call to say, oops, there's a problem with your booking, we're invariably ringing you up with the solution. So we'll be saying, listen, this has happened, so these are your new travel arrangements. So what we're experiencing today is highly unusual. I do know and do appreciate there is a huge delay in refunding people's money. So far as consumer protection goes and the package travel regulations, consumers are entitled to a cash refund within 14 days. That whole regulation is choked because those regulations are not written around a global stopping. And because of the intricacies of who's paid when and where's the money sitting and all this kind of thing, it's going to take a lot of time to unpick. So I do know that the consumer understands that. I also understand there are other consumers out there who are very frustrated because they're scared. They are financially in a tight situation themselves, and if they're not going to travel, they want their money back. Totally understand that. But we in the middle, especially as travel counsellors, because we're not hiding behind technology, you are able to pick up the phone and speak to a person. It is not a matter of engaging with a website or sending an email and not waiting, not getting a response. We are very much front of mind. We are the ones proactively picking up the phone to our clients and explaining the situation and explaining the delay. And hopefully with empowering our clients with the knowledge of what's going on and the understanding of the difficulties, we are finding that a lot of our clients are a lot more patient and understanding.
Yes, and I'm to say that because there was a gentleman on Breakfast News the other day, and he was saying, I'm meant to have this money back within 14 days. And I'd obviously heard you talk about this on that Ladies at Latte call that we had. And of course, it makes so much sense. If the people who are processing these refunds are in lockdown or they're in isolation because they're unwell, you haven't got the staff in these offices to be able to sort out these problems. So of course it's going to take longer than 14 days. These are exceptional circumstances. And I it's lovely to hear the fact that you've been proactive, made these calls. And when people know the facts, of course they're understanding, aren't they? But thank you for clarifying that. There's just two things I want us to cover before we go. I just want to put it out to everybody if you've got any questions about maybe you've got a holiday coming up, or maybe you have a holiday that you want to go on, because this is very pertinent to what Ruth and I are going to talk about now, because actually Ruth is perhaps now at a period of time when she can give you more attention to planning such wonderful detailed itineraries. And I know that this is one of the things that you're doing at the moment, isn't it, Ruth? You're spending time with people, looking at the holidays that they might want to have in the future, so that when we're back up and running, boom, the research, the donkey work is done, and boom, you can get them the best deal. So ladies, if you've got a question about that, please put it in there. But Ruth, tell us about what's going on for you at the moment.
Well, at the moment, primarily looking after my clients who have impacted bookings, but also it does give us the opportunity, us as in the industry and you, our clients, to step back and really identify what motivates us in global travel and look at those inspirational stories that we want to replicate. So looking at new destinations, new hotels, new modes of travel, it's a great time to be entertaining that and putting together your bucket list.
Yeah.
It also, I mean, if there's anyone listening to this who would like my assistance with that, I would be delighted to help, because we do have the indulgence of time to really look into it for you. Also, it sounds unlikely, because I am spending the majority of my time giving money back in refunds, which doesn't really make a business. But I had a lovely interaction with another small business in my local village, and that is a dairy that is making doing a milk service during this lockdown period. Got chatting to the MD, and he is now a new client. So not only am I looking at a new holiday for him next year, it is his wife's special birthday, and he is going to get some travel counsellors vouchers so that she will come back to me and book their next holiday. So, there are different ways of engaging. It would be very easy for me to sit on my laurels and feel very sad and just wait for this to all unpick. But I truly believe that there are new opportunities here, and we just have to be patient, understanding, and creative.
Absolutely. Ruth, I love that pay it forward idea. Buy your vouchers now for your next, if you can afford to, and you're going to go on holiday in the future, to pay it forward, to buy a gift voucher from you to keep you in business now is fantastic. Yes. I've had people coming to me, and I've had people buying some gift vouchers. I've obviously extended the period of the gift voucher for colour and for style, because they know that it keeps me in business, and they know that the person is going to be delighted with that gift, and they can do it, is something to look forward to. And I think it's that mental looking forward to as well, which is wonderful. Debbie says, well done, Ruth. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. So if any of you've got birthdays coming up, or you want to go on holiday next year or the year after, and you can afford to do so, what a great idea. Keep your travel counsellor in business with a gift voucher. I absolutely love that, Ruth. And in fact, I think perhaps we ought to finish on that high. Do you think we ought to finish on that high? Because that's a fantastic place to be in. Wonderful, Ruth. I just feel I've learned so much from you, and it's so lovely to have an expert to just come and set the record straight about the refunds, about the 14 days, and to reassure people that people will get their money, to reassure people that we will be traveling again, that we will be getting back out there again. Life will pick up. We will be going off exploring these wonderful places around the globe. And isn't it lovely to know that there are local businesses out there that you are there ready to take the call or the email now to help people plan. So what I'd like you to do, Ruth, is once we've finished this, if you pop onto my main Facebook page, the Lara Lauder Presence Impact and Image Consultant, find this thread and then put your details in there. So maybe your website, if you have a Facebook page, so that everybody watching can actually go straight to you and they can click on. And of course, if you're interested in going to Canada, then Ruth definitely is your person. I think there's nothing you don't. You've even experienced breaking your leg, I think, in Canada, didn't you? In the hospital system out there. That was
I did. Yes. Yeah, that wasn't my finest moment, but there we go.
But at least you've got first-hand experience in every angle. Well, ladies and gentlemen that are joining us live, thank you for joining us. And if you're watching on the replay, thank you for that as well. Ruth, thank you so much for your time. It's been lovely to find out about you and what you do. Join us again next week, 12:45. I will have Sue from Microbe. She's a Marlborough lady latte, and she's got a thriving business here in Wiltshire with her husband, and I'll be talking to her more about that. So have a good week, stay safe everybody, and start thinking about where you want to go and get on the phone to Ruth.
Thank you for inviting me, Lara.
Thank you so much. All right, thank you everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.